The bold warning. The vastness of the galaxy stretched endlessly beyond the windows of the Galactic Empire's command center. Stars shimmered like distant beacons of light, but the Empire, whose power spanned countless star systems, barely acknowledged them anymore. For centuries, they had ruled without equal, crushing any threat that dared challenge their authority. But there was one planet they had never taken seriously: Earth. Humanity had once been a minor player on the galactic stage. Their technology was outdated, and their military power was no match for the Empire's advanced warships. To the Empire, Earth was nothing more than a quiet, insignificant speck in the grand universe. Their last real battle had been long forgotten, and Earth had spent years isolated, far from the eyes of the Empire. But Earth wasn't as helpless as the Empire believed. It started with a simple message sent across the stars, a message the Empire barely considered worth its time, dismissing it as nothing more than a foolish, desperate plea. The message was brief, yet it held a weight of warning that would soon turn the tide. It read, "Stay away from Earth." The message was sent by Earth's government, though the Empire saw no reason to give it a second thought. The Emperor, seated on his throne, heard the news with a bored expression. Another warning from the humans. He scoffed, turning to one of his generals. "They are nothing more than an annoyance. Ignore it." His general, a seasoned veteran who had led many campaigns, nodded in agreement. "Indeed, Your Majesty. There is nothing to worry about. Their technology is outdated. They cannot stand against us." The Emperor chuckled, leaning back in his chair. "Exactly. They are still living in the past. Let them bark. We will do as we please." And so, the Empire brushed off the warning, believing it was nothing more than an empty threat from a powerless planet. They continued with their plans, preparing to expand their reach even further into the galaxy, with Earth barely registering as a footnote. But back on Earth, the situation was far from what the Empire imagined. The message wasn't just a cry of desperation. It was a signal of something far bigger. In a hidden underground facility, deep beneath the surface of the planet, a team of engineers and military experts worked in secret. For years, Earth had been preparing. The warning wasn't just an act of desperation. It was the first step in something much grander. The humans had known the Empire's ambitions for a long time. They had seen the signs, the increasing patrols in their part of space, the whispers from alien species about the Empire's hunger for expansion. And they knew that they could no longer hide in the shadows. Earth had long been mocked for its primitive appearance. The once beloved relic fleet, a fleet of outdated warships from humanity's distant past, was regarded as a joke. The galaxy laughed at Earth's ships, calling them relics of a bygone age. But the humans had a secret that no one, not even the Galactic Empire, had ever guessed. The old ships weren't just old, they were the foundation of something far more dangerous than the Empire had ever considered. Humanity had spent years developing advanced weapons, hidden deep within the relics of the past, and those ships were about to become their weapon of choice. General Sarah Quinn, a key leader in Earth's secret military operation, stood in front of the team of engineers, looking over the blueprints of the ancient warships. She had been a part of Earth's efforts to rebuild and strengthen its military for decades, but even she hadn't anticipated the scope of what was about to happen. "These ships, they're ready," one of the engineers said with a proud smile. "We've restored the engines, enhanced their armor, and reactivated the weapon systems. They're no longer relics. They are the future." Sarah nodded. "Good, but we need to move fast. The Empire will come sooner or later, and when they do, we'll be ready." There was a tense silence in the room as everyone absorbed the weight of the situation. The humans had been preparing for this moment for years, but they were now at the point of no return. The Empire might not take them seriously now, but once the first shot was fired, everything would change. Back on the Empire's flagship, Admiral Darius, one of the Empire's most trusted officers, reviewed the report about the humans. He was well aware of Earth's insignificant status in the galactic order, and yet something about the warning unsettled him. He brushed it off, attributing it to the arrogance of a species who had long been ignored. But as he sat in his war room, looking over the planets in the galaxy, a chilling thought crossed his mind. What if the humans weren't as weak as they seemed? What if their warning had more behind it than the Empire realized? His thoughts were interrupted by a transmission from the Emperor. "Admiral," the Emperor's voice echoed through the comm system. "What are your thoughts on the humans? Do you believe they are capable of anything?" Admiral Darius hesitated. "Your Majesty, the humans are no threat. They are no more than a nuisance, just like we've always thought." The Emperor's voice grew cold. "And if they're more than that? If they've somehow found a way to challenge us, keep an eye on them. But don't act unless we know for sure." Darius felt a chill run down his spine. There was something in the Emperor's tone that made him uneasy. Perhaps, just perhaps, the humans had a card up their sleeve. But for now, he would continue to follow the Emperor's orders. Meanwhile, on Earth, the first steps toward a new era were being taken. The warning had been sent, but the humans had no intention of sitting back and waiting. They were preparing for war, for the day when the Galactic Empire would test their resolve. The day would come when the Empire would learn that Earth was not the defenseless planet it appeared to be. The day when the humans would show the galaxy that they were more than capable of standing up to the Empire. But for now, Earth's fleet remained silent, hidden from the Empire's eyes. The warning had been sent. Now, the humans were waiting for the moment when the galaxy would learn the truth. The question remained, would the Galactic Empire realize its mistake before it was too late? The warning had been sent, but it seemed to have fallen on deaf ears. The Galactic Empire continued its expansion, its military might sweeping across the galaxy like a storm. Planets fell one by one, their resistance crushed beneath the might of the Empire's warships. No one doubted the power of the Empire. The Empire believed it was invincible, that nothing could stand against its might. But as the Empire's forces advanced, Earth was quietly preparing. In underground bunkers, on remote military bases, and deep within the old warships, humanity was hard at work. They knew they were facing a storm of their own, but they weren't going to let the Empire decide their fate. General Sarah Quinn stood in the command center of Earth's military headquarters, staring at the holographic display in front of her. It showed the Empire's current position, an unstoppable juggernaut of ships, ready to steamroll through any resistance. She could see the inevitable clash coming, and though her heart raced, she didn't show fear. She had seen the preparations, the plans, and most importantly, the new weapon they had developed. "What do we know about their fleet's movement?" Sarah asked, her voice calm but filled with an urgency that made everyone in the room focus. Her advisor, Colonel Mark Roberts, quickly replied, "The Empire's fleet is on the move. They've set their sights on a nearby colony, and we estimate they'll be in the system within a few days." Sarah clenched her fists. "We don't have much time. But we have one advantage. They still think we're weak. They believe our fleet is nothing more than a relic. Let's use that against them." Colonel Roberts looked at her with a questioning gaze. "You're suggesting we wait until they get closer?" "No," Sarah said firmly. "We won't wait. We'll move our fleet into position, but we'll stay hidden. When they arrive, they won't even see us coming. We'll strike when the time is right, and we'll make sure they regret ever underestimating Earth." The room fell silent as everyone absorbed Sarah's plan. They had a fleet, yes, but it wasn't just any fleet. It was the fleet that had been forgotten. The fleet made up of ships that were once considered useless, outdated, and abandoned. These were Earth's last line of defense, and it was time for them to roar to life. Meanwhile, on the Empire's flagship, Admiral Darius was reviewing the latest reports. The human warning was still fresh in his mind, but he had dismissed it long ago as nothing more than a last-ditch effort to deter the Empire. But there was something bothering him. The way the humans had worded their warning. It wasn't the message of a desperate people. It was a challenge to the Empire's supremacy. Darius leaned back in his chair, deep in thought. What if the humans have something more than we think? He muttered under his breath. One of his officers, noticing his unease, spoke up. Admiral, the humans have been out of the picture for too long. Their fleets are outdated, their technology is primitive. We have nothing to fear from them. Darius looked at his officer, his eyes narrowing. You're right, he said, but something still gnawed at him. The Empire had always been unstoppable, but what if Earth's silence was hiding something far worse than anyone could imagine? The next few days passed in a tense silence. The Empire continued its advance, while Earth's fleet silently maneuvered into position. It was like a deadly game of hide-and-seek, with the stakes higher than ever before. Every ship, every weapon, every plan was crucial. If they lost this fight, Earth would fall, and with it, the hope of ever standing against the Empire. Back on Earth, the preparations were in full swing. The warships, those so-called relics, were being revived and modified, their outdated systems upgraded with the latest technology. Earth wasn't relying on fancy new ships or alien tech. They were using their own ingenuity, their own resourcefulness, to fight back. What the Empire didn't realize was that Earth's strength came from its people, their creativity, and their refusal to back down. The newly reactivated fleet was a sight to behold. The ships, once seen as relics of a bygone era, now gleamed with newly installed weapons and armor. These were ships that had seen countless battles, and now they were ready for their most important one. As the fleet assembled, Sarah stood at the helm of the command ship, her heart filled with determination. "We'll show them what humanity is capable of," she said, her voice low but filled with conviction. As the days passed, Earth's fleet took its place in the darkness of space, carefully concealed by the shadows of distant asteroids and nebulae. They watched as the Empire's massive warships slowly entered the system, unaware that they were being hunted. And then it began. The first strike came suddenly. The Empire's ships were scattered, too focused on their mission to realize they were being washed. From the depths of the shadows, Earth's fleet emerged, their weapons charged and ready. The first salvo hit with the force of a thunderstorm, tearing into the Empire's lead ship with precision. The Empire was caught off guard. The sudden appearance of Earth's fleet, which they had assumed was powerless, was a shock. But it wasn't just the surprise that rattled them. It was the sheer force and accuracy of the attack. These were no ancient relics. These were the last remnants of a people who had been underestimated for too long. General Sarah Quinn's voice came through the comms, cold and sharp. "This is Earth. Your time is up." The battle had begun. The battle had erupted with shocking speed. The first salvo from Earth's fleet had left the Empire's lead ship in tatters, and chaos spread throughout the Imperial fleet. What the Empire had believed to be a simple mission to annihilate a defenseless planet had suddenly turned into a nightmare. The so-called relics of Earth's fleet were not just surviving. They were thriving, turning the tide of the conflict in a way no one had predicted. Admiral Darius stood in front of the massive holographic map on the bridge of his flagship, his eyes scanning the data streaming in. His fleet was in disarray. Earth's ships, which had been dismissed as outdated, were now carving through his forces like a knife through butter. The Empire's enormous, heavily armored warships, once considered invincible, were falling one by one. Each strike from Earth's fleet seemed to have a deadly precision that defied logic. "Report," Darius barked, his voice tight with frustration. His communications officer turned to him, her face pale. "Admiral, the first wave of ships has been decimated. We've lost half of our fleet in the first 10 minutes of combat. Their ships are faster than we anticipated, and their weapons, they're unlike anything we've seen before." Darius clenched his fists in anger. He had underestimated humanity. But the fight wasn't over. Earth's fleet might have caught them by surprise, but the Empire still had overwhelming numbers. He could turn the battle in his favor. "Focus all fire on their command ship," he ordered, his voice cold and steady. We'll cripple their leadership and scatter their forces." Meanwhile, on Earth's side, General Sarah Quinn watched the battle unfold on the command ship's main screen. The unexpected success of their initial strike had left her cautiously optimistic, but she knew the Empire wouldn't stay down for long. The Galactic Empire wasn't just going to give up. They would retaliate with everything they had. "Colonel Roberts, status update," Sarah called out, her tone urgent but focused. "We've taken out several of their lead ships," Roberts replied, his eyes glued to his console. "But they're regrouping. It won't be long before they come at us with everything." Sarah nodded. "Prepare for counterattack. We need to be ready for whatever they throw at us." As the battle raged on, Earth's fleet continued to show surprising resilience. The relics, once dismissed as old and obsolete, were proving to be more than capable of handling the might of the Empire. Their outdated weapon systems, which had been revamped with Earth's latest technology, now packed a punch that stunned the Imperial forces. The older ships, many of which had once been mothballed and forgotten, were now leading the charge, with their weapons blazing and their hulls tougher than expected. The Empire's ships, once thought to be invincible, were now showing signs of vulnerability. The first few strikes had caused massive damage, and Earth's warships had learned quickly, adapting to the Empire's tactics as if they had been preparing for this fight for years. Despite their losses, the Imperial fleet still outnumbered Earth's ships, and Admiral Darius was not one to back down. He issued a new order, calling for a concentrated assault on Earth's command ship. "We'll break them. They're just a bunch of old ships," he muttered to himself, as if trying to convince himself more than anyone else. As the Empire's forces moved into position for the final push, Sarah could feel the tension rise. The battle was far from won, and her fleet was beginning to show signs of wear. Their ships had been through many battles, but this fight was unlike anything they had faced before. The Empire wasn't holding back. They were throwing everything they had at Earth's forces. "We've got a long way to go, but we're holding our ground," Sarah said to her officers, trying to instill confidence in her crew. "But we need to end this, and soon. We can't let them regroup." Suddenly, an alarm blared across the command center. The warning lights flashed red, signaling that the Empire's concentrated attack was closing in on Earth's command ship. "Shields at 30%, shouted Lieutenant Anna, the ship's lead engineer. Sarah's heart raced, but her face remained calm. "Prepare to fire the secondary cannons," she ordered, gripping the edge of her console. The secondary cannons, the pride of Earth's reactivated fleet, were powerful enough to tear through the armor of even the most formidable ships. Seconds felt like hours as Earth's fleet retaliated, firing off a volley of concentrated blasts at the incoming Imperial ships. The sky lit up with explosions as the first wave of Empire ships was obliterated in a massive burst of fire. Yet more ships continued to pour in, their numbers almost endless. "They're coming in too fast," Roberts said, worry in his voice. "We won't be able to keep this up much longer." Sarah's eyes were locked onto the screen, watching as the last remnants of the Empire's forces closed in. Their ships were massive, dwarfing Earth's smaller, older fleet, but Sarah had one final trick up her sleeve, an ancient maneuver that had been passed down through the centuries, one that used Earth's own strength against the enemy's weakness. "Ready the maneuver," she said, her voice steady. The crew exchanged confused looks, but they knew better than to question their commander. They prepared the ship for the maneuver, as Sarah's eyes stayed glued to the screen. The fate of the battle rested on this. The Empire's forces continued to advance, closing the distance, and just as they reached the perfect range, Sarah gave the order. "Now, execute the maneuver." In an instant, Earth's fleet sprang into action. Ships that had been hiding in the shadows surged forward, using the Empire's own momentum against them. The battle was about to reach its turning point, and the Empire had no idea what was coming. The sudden shift in the battle took the Galactic Empire by surprise. The maneuver Earth's fleet had executed was something the Empire had never encountered before. As the Earth ships suddenly burst from their hidden positions, they unleashed a storm of firepower, overwhelming the Imperial forces. The smaller, older ships of Earth, once considered relics, were proving to be far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. Admiral Darius, now on the verge of losing control, watched helplessly as the remaining Imperial ships scattered in every direction. His once proud fleet, which had been poised to wipe Earth off the galactic map, was now disintegrating under the relentless assault. "Retreat! Retreat now!" Darius bellowed, his voice filled with desperation. But the damage had already been done. The retreat, ordered too late, only led to more casualties. The speed of the Earth fleet's unexpected attack had left the Empire's ships with nowhere to go. Many of them tried to turn and flee, but Earth's ships were quick, agile, and relentless. Each retreating Imperial ship became a target for Earth's guns. The once proud fleet of the Empire was now a shattered mess, retreating under fire. The remnants of their forces barely escaped the battlefield, limping away from Earth's fleet as if they were fleeing from a predator. Back on Earth's command ship, General Sarah Quinn stood tall, watching the screen with satisfaction. Their tactic had worked. The Empire had been thrown off balance, and the momentum had shifted. But Sarah knew better than to celebrate just yet. "This isn't over," she muttered to herself. "The Empire won't just let us win like this." As the dust settled on the battlefield, Sarah addressed her officers. "Good work, everyone. We've taken down a huge part of their fleet, but the Empire is far from finished. They'll be back. We need to prepare for whatever they throw at us next." The crew nodded, already moving to their stations, fully aware of the gravity of the situation. Earth had won a crucial victory, but the war was far from over. Meanwhile, aboard the remnants of the Imperial fleet, Admiral Darius was seething with rage. His flagship, though still intact, had suffered severe damage, and his forces had been decimated. He had underestimated the humans, and now they had taken the upper hand. The humiliation of this defeat was almost unbearable. "We've lost the battle," Darius said bitterly, his voice dripping with anger. "But the war is far from over. We will rebuild, and we will crush them." He turned to his communications officer. "Send a message to the Emperor. Tell him we need reinforcements, and we need them now. Earth will pay for this." The communications officer hesitated but nodded. "Yes, Admiral. I'll send the message right away." Darius paced across the bridge, his thoughts racing. Earth's fleet was not as weak as he had been led to believe. The so-called relics of Earth's past had proven themselves to be powerful adversaries, and the humans behind them were even more dangerous. He clenched his fists. This wasn't just a tactical defeat, it was a humiliation. The Galactic Empire had laughed at Earth, but now they would pay the price for their arrogance. Darius vowed to make Earth suffer. The Empire had underestimated humanity's potential, but he would ensure that humanity's strength was crushed. Back on Earth's side, Sarah Quinn stood at the observation window of the command ship, gazing at the remnants of the battle. The Empire had been forced to retreat, but Sarah knew the cost of victory. Earth's fleet had taken damage as well, and her supplies were limited. The battle had only just begun, and the Empire was far from defeated. She turned to her second-in-command, Colonel Roberts. "We've won this round, but we need to be prepared for the Empire's retaliation. It's only a matter of time before they come back with more forces." Roberts nodded, his face grim. "We'll be ready, General, but we need to start thinking about our next move. The Empire won't forget this, and they'll come for us with everything they have." Sarah stared at the stars outside the window, her mind racing with the possibilities. Earth had struck a powerful blow, but the Empire was vast, and they would not forgive this defeat easily. "We've shown them that we're not to be underestimated," Sarah said quietly. "Now we have to prove that we can finish what we started." The Empire's retreat did not bring peace. It only gave Earth a brief moment to breathe. Everyone on the command deck of Earth's flagship moved quickly, checking systems, repairing damages, and preparing for what they knew was coming next. General Sarah Quinn stood in front of a large screen, watching distant stars. Her mind was racing. The Empire was wounded, yes, but not defeated. Their pride had taken a hit, and prideful enemies were always the most dangerous. Colonel Roberts approached her. Scouts report strange movement at the edge of Sector 7. We think the Empire is regrouping. Sarah nodded slowly. They're not giving up. They're planning something. They want revenge. Across the galaxy, deep within the Empire's space, Admiral Darius stood in the war chamber of a colossal Imperial dreadnought. The Emperor's hologram flickered in front of him, tall, cold, and powerful. "You promised Earth would fall in one strike," the Emperor said, voice calm but filled with fury. Admiral Darius lowered his head. "I underestimated them, Your Majesty. Their fleet, primitive yet terrifyingly effective. Their tactics were unpredictable." "Then stop underestimating them," the Emperor snapped. "I'm sending reinforcements, elite destroyers. Wipe Earth from the stars." Darius's eyes burned with vengeance. "I will not fail again." The Empire's new plan was simple but brutal. A second wave, larger, faster, and deadlier, would strike Earth from 3 directions at once. No warnings, no mercy. Darius would lead it personally. Meanwhile, Earth's top engineers and commanders were in a secret underground base, planning the next move. The victory had bought them just enough time to bring their real ace into play, a hidden warship named Eclipse, built in total secrecy, far more advanced than anything Earth had ever shown the galaxy. The Eclipse had technology no alien empire knew humans possessed. It wasn't just a battleship, it was a weapon of fear. The ship had stealth abilities, could jam enemy communication, and had experimental weapons that could disrupt entire fleets. Sarah stood inside the Eclipse's command center for the first time. The ship was quiet, dark, powerful. She could feel it. This ship would be the key. "We have one chance," she told the crew. "When the Empire returns, we let them believe we're weak. Then we use the Eclipse. We strike once, hard, fast, and leave nothing behind." As the engineers worked day and night to ready the ship, scouts reported a massive Imperial force moving toward Earth. The second wave had begun. Sarah knew they had only hours left. She turned to Colonel Roberts. "Prepare everything. If we fail, Earth falls." He nodded. "And if we succeed?" Sarah gave a thin smile. "Then the galaxy will finally understand why you never ignore Earth's warning." Darkness covered the stars as the Imperial fleet came closer. This time, they weren't laughing. They were coming to erase a world. But Earth wasn't afraid. Not anymore. Not with the Eclipse waiting in silence. Not with a new plan. The final battle was about to begin. The silence in the command center of the Eclipse was palpable. General Sarah Quinn stared at the star charts on the massive screen, her fingers hovering over the controls. The Imperial fleet was closing in. There were no more delays. No more time to second-guess their strategy. This was it. Colonel Roberts, standing beside her, noticed the tension in her posture. "General, we're ready. The ship is at full power." Sarah nodded but said nothing. Her mind was elsewhere, thinking back to the earlier warning. Earth's response had been simple, but it was enough to shake the very foundation of the galaxy. Stay away from Earth. The Empire had ignored it, and now they would face the consequences. The Eclipse, Earth's hidden weapon, was ready for a fight it had never been meant for. A ship built in secret, not for defense, but for retaliation. Sarah stepped forward, her voice cold and determined. "Prepare for launch. We'll take them by surprise." On the outside of Earth's atmosphere, the first wave of Imperial destroyers dropped out of hyperspace. Massive, dark, and filled with the brutal might of the Empire. They seemed unstoppable. The destruction of Earth seemed inevitable. But the Empire hadn't anticipated what waited for them. A message, broadcast on every frequency they controlled, rang out across the galaxy. "This is General Sarah Quinn. We warned you. Earth doesn't fall. Not today. Not ever. As the words echoed across the stars, the eclipse rose from its hidden location, emerging from the shadows of Earth's moon. Its form was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen, sleek, dark, and silent. The eclipse moved with deadly precision, unseen and unnoticed by the Imperial fleet at first. But when the ship fired, the galaxy would feel it. The first blast of energy from the eclipse rocked the lead Imperial ship. It was a single shot, one shot that sent the lead destroyer into a violent, uncontrollable spin. Explosions racked the ship's hull as the shift shields flared and failed. "Lock onto the remaining fleet," Sarah ordered, her voice steady despite the chaos unfolding on the view screen. Colonel Roberts' voice came through the comms. "Targeting locked. Weapons primed, General." The Eclipse's experimental weapons were unlike anything the Empire had ever encountered. Designed to cut through shields and armor, they tore through the Imperial ships with terrifying accuracy. The once proud Imperial fleet that had laughed at Earth's forces was now fleeing in panic. Sarah's fingers tapped against the console, eyes narrowing. They'd begun to realize their mistake. A secondary wave of Imperial ships emerged from hyperspace, but the Eclipse was already in motion. It moved like a shadow, avoiding their weapons and striking from angles they couldn't predict. Each shot hit with precision. The destroyers were shattered one by one, falling apart in the cold expanse of space. "General, we've cleared the first wave," Roberts reported. "But there's more coming. They're trying to regroup." "We won't give them that chance," Sarah replied, gripping the controls tighter. "Target their command ship. Now." The Eclipse adjusted its position, and, with a resounding hum, fired a burst of concentrated energy at the heart of the Imperial fleet. The Imperial command ship, the largest and most heavily shielded vessel, exploded in a brilliant display of light, as though it were little more than a toy in the face of Earth's wrath. The remaining Imperial ships tried to retreat, but they were too late. The Eclipse, with its unmatched speed and firepower, closed the distance. Another blast, and the last of the Imperial ships was destroyed. For a moment, there was silence. The battlefield was littered with debris from the once mighty fleet, but Earth's warning had been answered. The Empire's arrogance had cost them everything. Sarah stood up, exhaling deeply. She looked at Roberts, who gave a small nod. They had done it. The impossible had been achieved. The message was clear. Earth was not a world to be trifled with. The galaxy would remember this day. "We've shown them," Sarah said, voice low but filled with satisfaction. "But this isn't over. The Empire will rebuild, and we'll have to stay vigilant. But for now, Earth is safe. We've made sure of that." Roberts nodded. "And the galaxy knows now, General. They'll know the cost of underestimating humanity." Outside, Earth's sky was peaceful once more. But above, in the silent expanse of space, the warning had been made. And this time, no one would ever forget it. The Empire may have been defeated for now, but humanity's place in the galaxy had been solidified. The galaxy would no longer laugh at Earth. They would remember the price of underestimating the power of a planet they had once thought weak. Earth had shown them that humanity would never be bullied again. Not now. Not ever. The final echoes of the battle still hung in the silent void of space. The Galactic Empire's once mighty fleet was no more than drifting debris, scattered like broken glass across the starry expanse. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy had witnessed a power that it had long dismissed. Earth's warning had been answered with fire and fury, and now the Empire had paid a heavy price for its arrogance. On board the flagship Resolute, General Sarah Quinn stood at the command console. Her eyes were fixed on the holographic map that displayed the shattered remains of the Imperial fleet. Every broken ship, every plume of energy dissipating into space, was a reminder that the Empire had underestimated Earth. The victory was not absolute. There was still work to be done, but it was a turning point. Across the bridge, officers moved with a calm urgency. Lieutenant Mark Harris, still catching his breath from the recent onslaught, reported, "General, the enemy reinforcements are in retreat. Their last command ship was destroyed. The remaining vessels are scrambling to escape." Sarah's voice was steady and resolute. "Good. Let this be a lesson to all who would dare to challenge us. Our warning was clear. Stay away from Earth. And now the Empire will learn that we do not take kindly to insults." Her words echoed in the silent corridors of the ship as the crew prepared for the next phase. But even in victory, there was no time for celebration. The news of Earth's triumph was spreading quickly, and the galaxy was beginning to take notice. There were allies and enemies alike, watching every move with bated breath. The destruction of the Galactic Empire's fleet had changed the balance of power, and now Earth was stepping into the spotlight. In a secure communications room deep within the Resolute, the human ambassador transmitted the day's events to the leaders of Earth. "Today, we have shown the galaxy that humanity will defend our home at all costs," the ambassador's voice echoed. "The Galactic Empire's arrogance has been our downfall, and now they must pay the price. Earth stands united." Across Earth, in the bustling centers of power and in quiet neighborhoods alike, people listened to the broadcast. There was relief, pride, and a growing sense of purpose. For too long, humanity had been seen as weak and insignificant. Now, the people of Earth could see that they were a force to be reckoned with. The warnings had been clear, and the galaxy had learned them the hard way. But on the Resolute, General Quinn knew that the war was far from over. Even though the Empire's fleet had been nearly annihilated, the remnants of their power would not vanish overnight. There were still Imperial commanders and loyal soldiers who had managed to escape. They would regroup, rebuild, and seek revenge. "Lieutenant Harris, secure a link to all outlying stations," Sarah ordered. "I want to know if any Imperial forces are still active in our sector." Within moments, data began to stream in. "General, minimal Imperial activity detected near the outer rim," Harris reported. "They are in full retreat, but we have a few scattered ships. It appears they are avoiding direct conflict for now." Sarah exhaled slowly, her face unreadable. "We'll monitor them closely. For now, focus on damage control and regrouping our fleet. We cannot allow our strength to wane. Every ship, every crew member must be ready. The galaxy is watching, and our message must be clear." In the days that followed, Earth's fleet began its long journey home. As the ship slipped past nebula and through quiet star systems, the crew took time to repair their battle-worn vessels. General Quinn and her officers held debriefings, discussing the lessons learned and the challenges that lay ahead. Every discussion was laced with the understanding that their victory was a signal, a warning to any force that might dare threaten Earth again. Meanwhile, the Galactic Empire's survivors gathered in hidden fleets, plotting their next moves. Rumors spread like wildfire among the alien ranks about the power hidden in Earth's relic fleet. The very name Earth began to carry a weight of fear and respect. Some factions of the Empire, once so arrogant and dismissive, now looked upon humanity with a mixture of caution and envy. Back on Earth, the leaders convened an emergency session. The President of Earth, standing before a large screen displaying the latest battle reports, addressed the nation. "Today, we have shown the galaxy that Earth is not to be trifled with," the President said. "We have defended our home and sent a clear message. Our planet is off limits to those who would do us harm. But our work is not done. We must remain vigilant. We must prepare for the future, for the Empire will try to rise again." The speech resonated with people across the planet. In the streets of major cities and the quiet towns of rural Earth, citizens celebrated, yet also braced for the challenges ahead. The war had changed everything. Humanity was now a known power, and with that came both honor and danger. On the Resolute, General Quinn looked out at the stars one last time before initiating the fleet's return to Earth. "We have secured our place in the galaxy," she said softly. "But let this victory be a reminder. Those who defy us will face the consequences. The Galactic Empire has been humbled today, and the galaxy, every galaxy, will know that Earth stands strong. Her voice, firm and resolute, was carried across every channel in the fleet. The crew, now tired but inspired, responded with determination. They had fought for their home, and they had won. But they also knew that their journey was just beginning. As the fleet continued its slow, determined journey back to Earth, a final thought lingered in General Quinn's mind. The galaxy was vast, and the threats would not vanish overnight. But humanity had proven that even the mightiest empire could be challenged. Their legacy, built on resilience and unity, would echo through the stars for generations to come. In that moment, as the Resolute sailed through the darkness of space toward home, the message was clear. Earth had sent a warning, and the price had been paid. The Galactic Empire had defied Earth's warning, and now they must face the consequences, and the galaxy would never forget the day humanity rose to defend its home.